Many people right now are going through experiencing the biggest and most significant energetic and spiritual upgrade of the entire year with this powerful super full moon and eclipse. Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you 5 things I think you should know about this powerful super full moon and lunar eclipse we have here on May 16th, 2022. Number 1, I wrote down nervous system update. What I mean by that is your spiritual awakening, which is heavily accelerated by times like this in particular, with eclipses in particular. It's not just a mental or spiritual phenomenon. It's a very biological experience. And no other person than this guy named Gopi Krishna has demonstrated that more fully. He has this book I read years ago called, what's it called? It's called Living with Kundalini. Gopi Krishna has one of the most well-documented and over-the-top powerful Kundalini awakening cases ever recorded. And a lot of his spiritual upgrades were him experiencing very much physical challenges as his body, as his nervous system became equipped to handle these higher and higher and higher frequencies. And that's something that a lot of people are going through right now. A lot of times your body will need time to rest and process. Right now, you could probably tell I'm sick. I'm actually considerably sick right now, believe it or not. Took some medication so I could get this video to you guys. But that's an example of how this can play out. And what's essentially happening, it's like your chakras or your energy body is releasing stagnant, stale, old energy. It's almost like if you do a little bit of yoga, you can sometimes feel stale energy kind of like releasing from your system. And right now, whether you're doing yoga or not, that's happening on a very profound and deep and powerful level with a lot of people just simply because of the astrology right now. So if you find yourself feeling in what I call the void, it's normal. The void is it's like a state of being where you feel very depressed, very joyless, very restless, very stagnant. You feel that way. And it's also your state of being is being mirrored in your life. For example, my whole family has this bug, this flu has just ran through us like a friggin' bulldozer, and we've all just been kind of miserable and suffering. And parallel to that, I felt very uninspired, very again, joyless is the best way I could put it. Very just depressed and just not happy. And it's like this uncomfortable experience that is connected to an extremely potent spiritual and biological upgrade in your frequency. So if you're in it right now, my friend, just understand this. It like all things in life, it does pass, and it always, when it does pass, it gives way to you feeling more tapped in than ever, you more inspired than ever. You'll have a lot of new creative ideas all of a sudden just filling your head, and you're going to have this whole new outlook on life, and you're going to find yourself shifting dramatically from feeling like you're in the void to feeling like, I'm so grateful. I am so happy. My life is amazing. I can't believe I'm just in awe of the mysterious and powerful nature of spirit and the divine reality I find myself in. So just understand that, my friends, it will shift. Number 2, change, and more change. As you go through this powerful, spiritual, energetic upgrade, you also might notice that there are some pretty significant changes happening in your life. And ironically, sometimes when you make a big change, that will catalyze even more changes connected to that initial change. An example is I've been talking about this a lot because it's a really fantastic example. But my good friend Aaron Dowdy, he just recently did this live event, which went beautifully, by the way. But for him, it was a huge deal. He's been talking about it for many years, and he finally did it. And I literally watched him transform himself on the way to that when he finally ran the event, but also during. Him making that change in his career, in his focus, in his life purpose has now presented him with a lot of other changes that just seem to be happening in his life, with his home, with the people that he works with. Everything is kind of going through this like rearranging process because he himself has stepped into a new version of himself. And I heard this just yesterday, or not yesterday, a few days ago. One of my business coaching students said that they made this decision to join this like certification program. And they said once they finally made the choice and once they put their credit card information in and signed up, all of a sudden they had this like knowing that, oh, I got to quit my job. My job is no longer in alignment. So it's a common thing that once you start moving forward in a significant way, which is very likely around this time because eclipses usually imply great change, then you might find that a bunch of other changes need to take place as well. And you might still be feeling like, man, I already made this big change. I wish I could just settle in for a while and be proud of myself. But it's like we're living in a very, very accelerated time. And I've learned it's wise to take advantage of these bouts of accelerated change because you could find yourself in a completely upgraded life circumstance, a career evolution, maybe just a complete advancement in your life if you just sort of roll with all the changes. Number 3, as you're going through all this, you're going through the void, you're going through the big changes in your life, you might also find yourself going through what I wrote down as a personal growth spurt, where not only are there physical changes maybe needing to be taking place in your life or maybe already taking place, but you might find that in addition to that, you are needing to rise up your level of like wisdom, experience, spiritual maturity to be a match for where you are now going in your life. An example for me is earlier this week, I had a really huge blowout with my 12-year-old daughter, Maya. It was just like a nasty blowout, man. We were at each other's throats and we both said things we, regretted saying. And it's a new thing for me to have a teenager. It's when I was a personal trainer a long time ago, I had like little kids and all my clients at that time had teenagers. And I would go into work sometimes and I would complain and say, oh man, it's so tough changing diapers. And they would all sort of look at me like, bro, like you don't even know the half of it. Wait till they become a teenager. And now I know exactly what they mean by that. It's no joke. It's like, it's a difficult thing, especially like a female hormonal 12-year-old teenager. It's requiring me to tap more deeply into my Zen, into my ability to sort of remain calm within the storm, basically. But my point is, that's just an example. You might find that like an example of going back to Aaron doing these live events. It's a new level of nerves, a new level of pressure on his shoulders. He needs to become more dialed in his spiritual practice to handle and to thrive in this new circumstance. And you might just find yourself in that same boat, but oftentimes to do so, to find yourself in the boat requires maybe an initial lapse of judgment where you are showing yourself, hey, you need to step it up. Like me, I didn't like the way I like yelled at my daughter. I don't want to do that, but it was just a reactive thing. And for me, it was like, again, a message to say, listen, you need to upgrade yourself. You need to be ready for these storms that can come out of left field with your teenagers. I have 2 other boys quickly coming into her shoes as well. And it's time for me to upgrade. But it's not a time to beat yourself up because I was feeling really like disappointed in myself when I like had that fight with my daughter. And I was really just feeling like, man, just really, disappointed in myself. But that didn't serve me. It didn't serve me at all. What served me is to say, you know what can I learn from this? How can I improve from this? And then moving on and making the changes. And ever since I've done that, it's been a lot better. The whole family dynamic has very much improved, including my relationship with my tween. Number 4, a career evolution. As you go through a spiritual awakening, what I found a common theme is it becomes very difficult to avoid, for a lot of people anyways, merging one's career or vocation with their higher calling. And this can be on the surface, seemingly a messy process. Like for me, as an example, I put like a decade of my time and energy into becoming, to having a career as a personal trainer. And all of a sudden, I just started to feel very unsatisfied with being a personal trainer, even though at one point it was very satisfying. It was very much in alignment. All of a sudden, I started going through a spiritual awakening, and it no longer was. I longed for more depth. I longed to help people in a deeper way. And I realized I had to accept that I'm unable to do that. I'm unable to satisfy that itch within my soul as a personal trainer. But that begs the question of what now? What do I do exactly? How do I make that transition? Is that transition, is that career evolution even wise? Would it be unwise to like burn my bridges because I put so much time and there's so much momentum into this other thing? To exchange that for the complete unknown. And what I found with a lot of people is it always comes down to that, letting go and going into the unknown. And as you do so, you get to experience and realize deeper levels of yourself, of your personality, you get to uncover talents, abilities you didn't even know you had. An example is when I started doing spiritual coaching. It was like exactly at that time I started doing spiritual, like one-on-one coaching with over the phone. And I remember when I would get on the phone with people, all of a sudden I could literally like feel in my body and I started to become more clairaudient, essentially, where all of a sudden I would like hear something that pertained to this particular person. It was a very like, unmistakable sort of spiritual, I don't want to say a gift, but some sort of like psychic phenomena that only started happening once I started coaching people. And it was good. It was always like, I would hear my ear. This is what you got to say to this person. I would know it. I would hear it and know it. And it was always spot on. It was always very beneficial to people. But the point is, I didn't get that realization that, you know what, I am equipped to do this new thing until I started doing that new thing. Now, for a lot of you, this career evolution, it could be a lot more subtle. It doesn't always have to mean this crazy career shift. It could be just maybe a refinement in the way you go about things. You might find yourself wanting to become more efficient, more time efficient, more energy efficient, and organize your day-to-day sort of career activities so they are more in alignment with your higher passions and callings and joys, etc. Number 5, it's a time to give thanks. And I know some of you right now who are like in the void, going through this acceleration of change and transformation. You might feel like to be grateful and to give thanks is an impossibility. But I really believe it's an important time to do that. And it's always a good time to give thanks. Always a good time to tap in and cultivate the energy of gratitude. When things are really bad for you, it's a great time. When things are really good for you, it's also a great time. Last night I found myself lying awake, feverish, restless, just really sick. And what was so fascinating to me is I felt better last night than I have all week. Even though I felt like physically like a mess, still kind of do. I felt like finally I feel inspired and I feel just so happy and grateful. And the reason I started to feel grateful is because I started to think of a good friend of mine. His name is Andrew. Andrew has this young kid, little Drew. And little Drew's been struggling with seizures almost his entire life. And, he's in Michigan, my buddy, and I'm here in Austin, so I don't really talk to him. But I can see once in a while his wife will post on Facebook a little update. And these updates are always like, it's always like, more doctors going around the world to talk to different specialists and putting this poor little kid through so many tests. And just, it's crazy the degree of challenge this family is going through every single day. They're having to go through it. And I felt so inspired by them because you know what? They love their child. They don't have the ability to just sort of put it off or ignore it or bury their head in the sand. They don't have the choice to just not face it head on as best they can every single day. And this family has remained so positive, so optimistic in spite of a challenge that I can't even imagine. And I was laying there last night feeling horrible, and I have every reason sort of like to complain mentally, like, man, you're sick, you don't feel good. But I felt like, man, it could be a hell of a lot worse. And I felt so grateful that there are people out there that take on these types of challenges as a way of really showing the world what's possible and showing the world what really matters. And they're just like little angels incarnate here, showing the world that like, don't give up and count your blessings. Anyway, that gratitude, that time I spent just thinking about my buddy, it like completely shifted for me, what was a week of like feeling just off and depressed. I even though I'm still sick, I still feel really good and happy because of that gratitude. And one more thing before I go, my friends, some of you have heard me talk about my retreat coming up in Sedona this June. This is where we're going to be gathering a bunch of people just like you from my YouTube channel, like-minded people, for a 3-night event of healing and transformation, very profound and deep healing that we do as a group on the sacred land of Sedona. And the retreat has been sold out for a little while now, but I want to let you know, I talked to the owner and he got me some more rooms I can rent out. So I have like 5 or 6, I think, extra spots as of the time of making this video. So if it's something you've been seeing and you want to go and you thought it was sold out, I'll leave a link down below. You can check it out and maybe meet me and my wife Patty and my team and a bunch of other cool like-minded people this June in beautiful Sedona. We'd love to see you there, my friends. So again, I'll leave a link down below to check it out. With that said, have an amazing week, my friends. Much love to you all. Peace.